Hello, everyone. My name is Korosh Erfani. I am a sociologist and a political analyst. And on this day of Monday, September 15th, 2025, I am going to talk about something interesting that we got in the news. Maybe something happened between September 8 to 10, 2025, and it was one country. I think it's called Israel. Yeah, yeah, Israel. It attacked six countries in just 72 hours. That's a record. We should record it in the Guinness. So it's a question of Tunisia, Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Qatar, Yemen, just in 72 hours. One of these countries was Qatar, and Qatar asked for having a summit composed of the Islamic and Arab countries, and it got effectively this summit. The leaders of these 51 countries came over there, and as you can see, there was a very large declaration of solidarity by all these countries, and also condemnation of Israeli attack, considering it as quarterly and, of course, extremely negative for Israel, slamming by all these countries, which was very good because effectively the Emir of Qatar uh, said that Israel was not interested at all in ending Gaza war, and now they know. Everybody knows that Israel is not interested in something that can be called ceasefire, peace, or so. Now, the question is, all these countries are there for what exactly? You know, before answering to this question, let's see what Israel is trying to set up. Okay, what Israel wants to establish. Here are some of the rules that the Israeli government wants to establish in the region. First, and the first rule is that we attack any country in the region uh, whenever and whatever we want, right? That's the first rule. The second, uh, in response to that, no country must attack us. So no reaction, please. That's the second rule. You are attacked, but you don't do anything. Uh, the United States and, of course, other countries, if possible, essentially United Kingdom, Germany, and so on, must support us for our aggression, support politically, diplomatically, logistically, by any kind, right? The fourth rule is that if you are referring to the international law, you should know that from our point of view, it doesn't apply to us. So don't mention that, please. Don't bother us with international law or the things like that. It doesn't apply to the chosen people at all. There is no border that we respect. So borders and the value of the borders is not something that we can really take into account. And we are trying to destroy all the state nations in the Middle East, starting with the Palestinian. Then, right now, we are trying that with Syria and Lebanon, but we are going to do so in all the countries of the Middle East and even beyond, one after another. And the other rule to come is that we are going to occupy any territory we want in the Middle East, and the objective is to annex them to the greater Israel. So that's the rules that Israeli wants to establish, and they don't hesitate to say that, very officially, because right now it's not a question of anything that can be seen as bothering them, or making any noise for what they are doing. So now the question, the primary question of our presentation: what would be the reaction of Qatar and the countries that are there, 51 Arab and Islamic countries in that summit, to this aggression? So I think there are two possibilities. One is just a symbolic reaction, of course, um, and another one is the real reaction, a real and factual reaction. Let's see what they means exactly. Symbolic reaction means just words, talking statements, condemnation, but no action. Um, that's what we call symbolic reaction. Is it that, or is it something else? So, what about real reaction? So, by real reaction, we means several things. First, they can, for those countries that have some kind of relationship, diplomatic relation, Abrahamic accord, or so on, with Israel, they can cut them, of course. That's the first reaction, the real one. Second is all these countries that are supporting Israel can be boycotted by these 51 countries for the oil, for petrol, gas, and so on. So for the investment, there are many tools and leverage if they want really to make pressure to the countries like the United States that are supporting Israel's aggression. Uh, they can effectively threat to cut oil, and we know what it means for the global economy. So they can say that if Israel remains unpunished, unchecked, we are going to cut oil, for example. Another thing that they can do is to set an ultimatum to Israel to say that when and how they have to put an end to the genocide in Gaza and to the occupation in the West Bank. They can do that, and they have the leverage, they have the possibility, logistic facilities, and anything necessary to do so if they want. If they want a clear ultimatum. Of course, they can form a military alliance, a kind of organization with a real chain of command, right? With the logistics necessary for having a military force, and of course the plans of action. They can do that. They have everything necessary for that. And also, they can create a kind of follow up system to pursue all these objectives, right? A very active organization and management in order to make all of these real. So these are a list of everything that they can do as the real reaction. Now we had effectively something in the news. It was question of, as you can see, the Gulf state, the Persian Gulf state countries are activating a defense mechanism, which is good, which is a primary step of what we have been talking about, right? But let's also ask ourselves, what about the absence of such a thing, which means that if there is no a real reaction, and if this country are satisfied with just a symbolic reaction, what would be the result? Here is the result of just a symbolic reaction. Of course, if there is no real action, if there is no uh, um, let's say motivation for going through a serious answer and response to what happened, Israel will be, of course, more aggressive, uh, will be bolder, more audacious, and of course, it will follow its agenda. And we are talking about the Zionist agenda to create the greater Israel, right? So, without any hesitation, Israel thinks that it can effectively continue, it can goes on with its plans to dominate the whole Middle East, to occupy that and to create the greater Israel. I am pretty sure that they are waiting, the Israelis are waiting to see what is the real result of this gathering in Doha, this summit, this conference. So if it is only symbolic by condemnation and so on, Israel knows that it can do whatever it wants. But what about the real reaction, as we said? Here, everything will change, right? Look, in this case, Israel will be in serious trouble. Why? Because it has to stop. It cannot continue its aggressive agenda. So at that time, there would be two possibilities for Israel: either going for a regional war, an all out of war, with the complicity of United States and its allies, right? So we are talking about the most aggressive war that one can imagine. And don't forget that among the 51 countries participating in this summit, there is Pakistan with the nuclear weapons, right? So we are talking about something serious if Israel wants to choose, this pathway, to wage a real war. And I am pretty sure that with the force of the countries like Pakistan, uh, Turkey, Egypt, Israel will be destroyed, physically destroyed. Uh, uh, we uh, we don't hesitate about that. I think as a result. So if Israel, after seeing and facing the real reaction of this country, wants to stop, really, in this case, we can be sure that the Zionist agenda will fall apart and Israel will sink into one of the most chaotic situation that one can imagine. And the result of that will be the same. Israel will vanish. Israel cannot stop war. Israel cannot not to be aggressive. The only way, the only survival mode for the Zionist Israel is just to wage more and more war, more aggression, more genocide, and so on. If it stops, it will die out. It will die out. Israel will die out for sure. So that's why it's very important to follow up and to see what would be effectively the result of this summit. I think we are at a kind of a watershed point, a turning point, and we should wait for uh, most consequential steps that are coming. We are going to talk about that more. Thank you for watching.